Secure Act 2.0 is slowly but surely making its way towards possibly becoming the new law. It's huge. What are the major ways the Secure Act 2.0 could and would impact your financial planning? I've got the top 7 coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, the Secure Act 2.0, what is it? Setting every community up for retirement enhancement. I hate how they name these things. That is not what this has done. It has absolutely changed a lot of the rules regarding, required minimum distributions and retirement contributions. Secure Act 1.0 was passed in late 2019. It went into effect 1/1 of 2020, and it changed a lot, okay? Lots of big changes. And then, of course, we hit the pandemic, and there were all sorts of changes, CARES Act, blah, blah, blah. So it sort of just got lost in the shuffle. It was some of the biggest tax legislation that we've seen in decades, but then followed all of this other stimulus and everything else, so it sort of got mixed in. The Secure Act 2.0 then, that's what they're calling it, is another substantial amount of tax legislation that is actually would change even more what's going on and what you can do for saving up in your finances and employer match and those sorts of things. While it's a lot of change, okay, mostly it provides more options, more choices, which I am all about. I hate how complicated the tax code is, but I want you to have more choice. In comprehensive financial planning, then of those more choices, which are the wise choices to make? Now, the Secure Act 2.0 unanimously, I think overwhelmingly passed the House. Congress is still working on it, but it seems likely, it seems very close that we're going to have something that could be passed into law at some point this year. What are the most important areas of the Secure Act 2.0 that could impact you? Here are the top 7 right now. The first is changing your required minimum distribution age. Yes, the age at which you're forced to start drawing money out of your pre-tax retirement accounts, not your Roth IRA, your pre-tax retirement accounts. Secure Act 1.0 moved it from age 70 and a half to age 72. Secure Act 2.0 would extend it beyond there, but not for a few years. Moves it from age 72 to age 73 starting 1/1 of 2023, okay? But then would move it to age 74 starting January 1 of 2030, eventually resting at your required minimum distribution age being age 75 starting 1/1 of 2023. Now I love that. Again, it gives you more choice. You'd no longer be forced to start drawing money out until those later ages. And I think this does make sense. Part of the reason, part of the reasoning for this is people are living longer, and therefore, why should we require that people start taking money out even sooner? If they want to take out, that's great, but they're not required to do so until later. I hope this thing does pass. The second major part is also connected to required minimum distributions. If the Secure Act 2.0 passes the way it's written, the penalty for missing a required minimum distribution becomes less severe. Now it's still severe, but right now it is the steepest penalty that I know of. If you were supposed to take out, if you were required to take out $10,000 from your IRA and you forgot to do it, or an old retirement account and you forgot to do it, or you have an old 401k and you thought you took money out of your IRA to cover it, but the rules are you've got to take it out of your 401k as well, whatever. The current penalty is 50%. So you have to take that 10 grand out and claim that 10 grand on your taxes, but then also pay a 50% penalty. That is steep. Now, therefore, don't miss it. Work with the CFP, make sure you're on top of your required minimum distributions, and make sure your financial life is simplified so you don't have to take an RMD from all sorts of different accounts. But if the Secure Act 2.0 passes the way it's proposed right now from the House, they would drop that penalty from 50% to 25%. Still very much avoid it, but much less severe. Okay, setting every community up for retirement enhancement. All right, well, this third feature would require auto enrollments. So when you start at a new employer, if you don't raise your hand or fill out a form and say, yeah, I want to contribute into the 401k, then they're going to automatically do so. So this one actually lives up a little bit to its billing. But here's the thing. Your auto enrollment is just at 3%. And my greatest concern with auto enrollments, even though I love the nudge that it provides, my greatest concern is, listen, if you say, well, do I really need to sign up for the 401k? Well, if you don't, you'll just be auto-enrolled, or a misinformed human resource provider says, you don't need to sign up, you'll be auto-enrolled, so don't worry about it, keep doing your training or whatever, let's not actually meet, and you think 3% is the right amount. It's the wrong amount. You likely need to be starting your contributions into your 401k at 15%, not 3%, okay? And depending on your financial situation, your unique financial situation, it likely needs to be different than that, but I'd start at 15. It certainly isn't 3. And you might say, well, part of this is there's an auto increase feature. So you start at 3 and then it goes to 4, then it goes to 5 each year. Not enough, guys, not enough. So be aware that this feature would be it's part of the Secure Act 2.0. If it gets passed, this would be required, but it's not gonna be enough. It's not gonna actually set you up for retirement enhancement. What might, though, is this next feature, and that is expanded catch-up contribution limits. That's right. Once you turn age 50, the year you turn age 50, you're allowed to contribute a little bit more, an extra $1,000 to your IRA or your Roth IRA, or a little bit more into your 401k, your 403b. Those are catch-up contributions, okay? Within the Secure Act 2.0, they make it terribly confusing, but age 62, 63, and 64, your catch-up increases even more. For 401ks, your catch-up contribution would grow to $10,000 in the year you turn 62, the year you turn 63, and the year you turn 64, just for those couple of years. Simple IRA would get expanded as well. So while I dislike the confusion that this causes, I do like that it would give you the opportunity, the option, the ability to save more into these tax sheltered accounts in that final push to get you ready for retirement, doing so in a tax efficient way, tax advantaged way. So even though this is very complicated, work with your CFP. If this thing does pass, you'll want to make sure that this makes sense and see whether it does to contribute this extra expanded catch-up contribution amount. The fifth feature within the Secure Act 2.0 that I would highlight as hopefully will impact you has to do with my very favorite tax credit. My favorite tax credit out there is the Retirement Savers Contribution Credit. Why? Because tax credits are dollar for dollar reductions in your tax bill that you don't need to pay back. So it's a dollar for dollar return, okay? And this one is for doing something you should be doing anyway, saving up for retirement. That's right. You could get a tax credit if you qualify. You could get a tax credit just for saving up for retirement. It's been a very complicated tax credit, or currently is, where if your income's below certain thresholds, the tax credit could be 50% on the first $2,000 that you contribute, then it would drop to 20%, then it would drop to 10%. Now, in the Secure Act 2.0, they simplify it, and the tax credit, if you're eligible, would just be the 50%. So it would be the $1,000. It's still on the first $2,000 that you contribute, but it'd be 50% of that. Your income does need to be below a certain threshold, but there wouldn't be these extra bands, these extra layers, these extra tiers. Just if you qualify, the credit's 50%. Now, if you do qualify for the Retirement Savers Credit, it's per person. So if you file a joint tax return, you're going to want to make sure that you are contributing that $2,000 to your retirement accounts and your spouses as well. And that would allow you to get 50% tax credit on each of those, a total of $2,000 of tax credit, as opposed to, less than that if it's just one of you contributing. The sixth part of the Secure Act 2.0 that I would highlight, and this one is pretty confusing, it's matching contributions on student loan payments. And yes, there are some programs out there where your employer or others could actually, if you're making a payment to your student loan, they could match or make a payment on your student loans as well. This feature in here, the way I understand it, and of course it could change, it's not law yet, but if you are unable to save a lot to your 401k, and instead you've got dollars going towards paying student loans instead, that would still qualify you for a match where your employer would make a matching contribution into your 401k, even though you weren't contributing enough in order to do so. They would look at how much are you paying on your student loans, and based on that, they'll match a portion of that and have that going into your 401k. Very complicated, and I would argue work with your certified financial planner, see how much you can save into your 401k, as well as contributing to your or paying down your student loans. Hopefully you can do both, but for those of you that can't, this would be an added feature as well. And then last but not least, my seventh feature of the Secure Act 2.0 that I would highlight is more potential Roth contributions in a couple different ways. One of the disadvantages of the simple IRA is that there's no Roth, Apparently in the Secure Act 2.0, they're going to try and make a Roth simple IRA. I would love that. It would be very helpful to a lot of small businesses. But second, your matching contributions that you get from your employer, all of those are pre-tax right now. You can't choose to say, I want to pay tax on your matching contributions. I want to pay tax on that, have them be in my 401k as Roth so they grow tax-free. There's no option for that. In the Secure Act 2.0, this would be one of my favorite features. They would allow employer matching contributions to be Roth. I have no idea how they do it. Likely you'd have to add it to your W-2 in a different section in a different box. Hopefully they'd be able to withhold taxes for it and so on, so it doesn't create a big tax surprise. But once they figure out those logistics, for those of you that are saving up Roth and are in low tax brackets, this would be another way to get more dollars in your Roth 401k growing tax-free for your financial future. All right, we're still hoping the Secure Act 2.0 will pass. Does seem like there's a lot of political will to get this thing done. Stay tuned to the Wise Money Show channel to get updates as this thing does get through Senate and gets closer to becoming law. We'll give you all those updates and, better yet, know how to plan for them. Depending on all that, work with your CFP to see what adjustments you should make. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.